Welcome to another Website Strategy Quick Tip, where we give you an actionable tip that you can implement on your own website in under 5 minutes. So let's get started. Your website should be your number one salesperson, and a salesperson's job is to help a prospective customer to collect the info that they need and overcome any objections that they have so that they feel comfortable taking the next step in the purchase process. So if your website isn't helping your website visitors to overcome objections and find the info they need to move forward, an FAQ section is a great way to provide that information and address those concerns. So an FAQ section is typically displayed as a list of questions, and then the website visitor can click and expand these questions to see the relevant answer below. And it's a great format because you're able to let them easily browse through and find the questions that they have. And you can also kind of surface questions they should be asking that maybe they're not thinking of, or also display things that maybe differentiate you from your competition and capture their interest with these question titles so that they can click through and learn about those things as well. So let's take a look at a couple ways that you can use FAQs on your website. The standard place to house FAQs on a website would be on a dedicated FAQ page. And this is a great thing to put in your main navigation, as it's very often one of the first places a website visitor will go when they're in research mode. They're typically not in the mood to consume a ton of your marketing copy. They just want answers to a couple quick questions before they invest more time in learning about you and browsing your website. So if you can give them the FAQ link front and center and let them get there and determine whether you're a good fit for their problem, that'll go a long way towards extending that website visit so that you can do a little more marketing on the back end. So a great way to set up an FAQ page is to have a collection of all of your FAQs and then categorize those, maybe based on information about pricing, information about any guarantees you offer, or whatever's applicable to your business. But categorizing them, letting them see them all, but also drill down to a topic of interest, really helps with the user experience. The FAQ page isn't the only place that you can display FAQs on your website, though. It's great to include some of the FAQs when they're contextually relevant on content pages as well within your website. So here we have a content page. Maybe this is a page about a service that you offer, and you can see that we've included some relevant FAQs right here in the sidebar of this page. So as they're looking into the service and considering whether it may be a good fit for them, here's some common concerns they may have, or additional information that's typically asked when they're interested in this service that you can display right here. And a nice way to set this up is to have these FAQs in your main FAQ section, and then also be able to pull them into pages, either in the footer or a sidebar, depending on your site's design. But you can build out your FAQ system so that you can assign FAQs to all of the pages where they're relevant, and they'll just show up, which is kind of a nice feature. And finally, a couple quick tips for powering up the FAQs on your website. So first of all, we like to include an ask your question prompt anytime we're displaying FAQs anywhere, whether in the big FAQ page, or if we're just including a couple related FAQs on some content page over in a sidebar. We'll also include this ask your question prompt, because if they're browsing through those FAQs, they've probably got a specific question in mind. And if you haven't answered that, this is a great time to get them to make contact so that you can address that concern and help them to move forward in the purchase process. And then finally, just a little bit of theory on what content you should share in FAQs. So you may feel like you've addressed most concerns in the products and services pages, but most website visitors know that content is sales copy. It's marketing copy meant to sell that product or service. So they take it with a grain of salt. But FAQs are often seen more like the fine print for your products and services, or the documentation about your business and your products. And people tend to think of them more factually. And it's a great way or a great place to reiterate some of your best kind of sales points here and get them delivered and kind of accepted a little easier than maybe on the marketing pages. So FAQs are super important for websites, among the most important content that you can develop. Be sure to reach out to whoever's involved in your sales process, identify all those questions that prospective customers have, the objections that they bring up as your sales team's trying to close the sale, and make sure that they're all addressed in FAQs on your website.